Can you believe it's almost 2020? I'm having a hard time with it. It's freaking me out a little bit, right? A brand new decade. Lots of great things ahead of us. I look forward to producing daily content for the entire decade. Wouldn't that be something? But something you may not be aware of is I have an Instagram page. It's called One Rental at a Time. And for the last, let's call it 90 days or so, I am having a social media team who actually converts all of these videos into my podcasts on One Rental at a Time. Also, create daily Instagram posts. And most of those Instagram posts are motivational quotes or real estate investing quotes that they take from some of my videos. So I spent the last hour or so going through them, and I created what I call the top 10 list. I'd like to share that with you and also encourage you to follow me on Instagram as, my team's going to be putting out stuff daily. So 7 days a week, and it's a lot of fun. So also, these also show up on my business page, I guess you would call it, on Facebook. Again, guess what? One rental at a time. So make sure you follow me there as well. So let's share this top 10 list and get into it. So again, trying to branch out. Obviously, YouTube is my main platform. It's what I focus on, creating daily content, more importantly, daily original content for you. I do like doing subscriber questions and interviews and all of those things. It's a ton of fun. But one of the things we do is we also create stuff for Instagram with these daily quotes. So again, follow me on Instagram. Encourage your friends to follow me anytime you'd like to share a story or repost or whatever it's called. Let's do it. Let's grow this channel. Let's grow this movement of one rental at a time. And let's make the next decade just outstanding. So the first one is really what my goal has been ever since I wrote the book, right? Where's that book? I always have it near me. It's in my office. Ever since I wrote this book, self-published on Amazon, quite a feat, almost been a year. I think I published it in January last year, is I wanted to encourage you. I wanted to create belief, but most importantly, I wanted your financial future to be better, right? You will see in the closing quote, my absolute favorite quote, which is financial freedom is hard, but a better financial future is easy. And I think it starts with a better financial future. And if you decide to carry it on past that, it can absolutely lead to a better financial freedom. But I think it starts, right? There are baby steps to this journey. I think too many people get lost in thinking about financial freedom and never take that first step. And that's a mistake, right? If the person you're listening to gets you excited but doesn't help you take the first step, why waste the energy? Why waste the brain cycle? So it's very important for me to put out content that helps you take the next step, right? Whether that's the first step or the 10th step. That's why I talk about getting the 4 rentals as your first goal. So this one was very important to me, and I'm glad it was on this top 10 list. Next is really what I hope kind of evolves from this one rental at a time message, story, Instagram page, book, course. It's a hopeful mindset. It's a mindset built on taking action, being conservative, thinking long term, and of course, my favorite, just getting after it. If we can just focus, we can ignore the noise, we can not get lost in our daily grind of life, you can absolutely have a better financial future. That's why I like this quote, because it's that I want it to be positive. I want you to have a better life. I want it to be hopeful. I want you to think that, a better future is ahead of you. And there's no better time than looking into the future, right? The next decade. Let's make the 2020s all about being in a better financial spot, right? I tell you all the time to think in decades. So what better time than January 1st of 2020, right? Let's do it. Let's get after it together. Here's the deal. What I teach, what I did is simple. It's not hard. You need to consistently look at your market and understand the math behind it. That's all I ever did. That's all I teach. And people love the simplicity, right? I tell them how to go learn their market, how to build their own individual spreadsheet to track the performance. Then they understand what an average deal is, which most deals in the MLS are either average or bad. And then we look at creating good and great deals. We built our entire, journey, which we write about in the book, out of the MLS, the multiple listing service, realtor.com, Redfin. We didn't have special access. We didn't have an uncle or an aunt in the business. We didn't have somebody feeding us deals from wholesalers, right? We had none of that. We just looked every day for a decade. That's why I say it's simple. It's not easy. I get it. Life gets in the way. If you can look at it 5 times a week, as I teach in the course, you're going to know your market better than 99% of the agents inside of 3 months. And just think about the power and the confidence you get from doing that. And if you don't know how, simply buy my course. It's less than $200. And, hopefully that's less cash flow than a single month that you produce. And you're going to get the confidence to do it. Don't believe me. Watch the playlist on my channel of student interviews. I think there are 3 already, and we'll do some more. But people are getting it. People are liking it. It's not fluff. It's right in your face. Step 1, step 2, build a spreadsheet, understand the math. Let's get after it. So that's warms my heart, frankly. This is a quote I got from the very tail end of my interview with Tom Ferry, who I consider a personal friend, mentor, and I've only spoke with the gentleman once. But I've watched him for hours. I think if you watched his content and you weren't a real estate agent or a broker, you would just feel better, right? A lot of his content is geared that way. He's the #1 real estate coach out there, but I think his content is so awesome. And I just had to include this one. It made me smile for hours after his interview. And that is 2020 is going to be bananas for real estate. I just love that. Bananas. So Tom Ferry, if you or anybody watches this, thank you for this. It's definitely one of my top 10 moments of 2019. I really appreciate you. Next, I'm trying to help people go from 0 to 1. So many people are stuck from 0 to 1. I promise you going from 1 to 2 is easier and 2 to 3 is easier than that. So I do spend a fair amount of time trying to goose people off 0. I believe it's a lot easier when you can have a conversation about what it takes to get your first one. Then maybe we can talk about getting your second and third, right? So that's what my course is geared at. It's a lot of people are, afraid's probably the wrong word, but nervous or lack confidence. So I put it in your hands. I say, okay, this is how I learned a market I'd never been to. I'd never been to Fresno when we started. And, you really do need to read the book, right? Because it tells you how I learned the market. It highlights the mistakes we made. It highlights how we invested on the up and on the downside. There's just so much value in this book. It's kind of like taking Rich Dad, Poor Dad to the next level. At least that's what my intention was. So I do spend a lot of time going from 0 to 1 because I think too many people are stuck there. And I'm on record saying if we can get to 4, your future is going to be better. So I kind of had to tee this next quote up after that one is, if you just get 1 rental property, you are going to have someone else buying an asset for you. How awesome is that? Does anybody buy stocks for you? Does anybody buy bonds? Does anybody kick in cash for your savings account every month? Well, if you only ever get 1 rental property and hold it for 20 or 30 years, somebody's going to buy your asset. They're going to buy at least half that asset for you. That asset's going to appreciate. That asset's going to produce a dividend or a yield or cash flow, whatever you want to call it. There's just nothing else out there like it. And we need more and more people thinking about it. And you need to get one, right? You need to get 1 at least. And then let's talk about getting to 4. Here's a big one for me. I've been talking to more and more people that are starting to have just a little bit of success. Either they're flippers or they're wholesalers. Maybe they had their first or their second big check. And then they go, hey, I deserve a new truck. There's somebody on this who's going, hey, I need a new Tesla. I need $100,000 Tesla. Are you freaking kidding me? You've just started to taste success and now you want to take a big piece of your nest egg and roll it into a depreciating asset. Are you freaking kidding me? Yes, I drive a really nice car today, but that was 15 years of sacrifice and just a small percentage of the cash flow. What are you doing at year 2 peeling off 100 grand to go buy a car? That just drives me bananas, right? It's crazy. Yes, I believe you can do things like that, but let's get up the hill first before you kick the rocks out and slow down your momentum. And it's like, to me, this is like walking uphill, getting to your first vista and putting rocks in your backpack. What are you freaking doing? You've got 17 more vistas to get to, and you're going to make your backpack heavier? It just drives me crazy. I believe a lot of people overcomplicate spreadsheets. I believe people want to do these spreadsheets. They want to think the math is hard. Frankly, if your spreadsheet is overly complex and more than 12 or 13 columns, it's just too hard. You're trying to make yourself feel better by making it look overly complicated. It's really simple math. I, again, in my course, show you the spreadsheet that I use to compare apartment buildings with studio condos. It's all the same math, man. I want to know how hard my cash is working. I don't care about forced appreciation or buying at a discount or any appreciation at all. I want to know how much cash I put in and how much cash I get back. Am I overly simplistic? Maybe. Do I care? Not at all. This is about helping people understand how hard their cash is working, and that's what I teach, and that's what's important. The most important part of this book and why I wrote it was because I wanted it to be the follow-on to Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad changed my life, but it didn't tell me how. This book tells me how. This book tells me how I invested all the way up the cycle, like 03 to 08, how the crash hurt us, how we survived the crash, how we prospered during the downturn, and how we did it coming back, and yes, left the rat race. This book should be sold with Rich Dad, Poor Dad because it tells a busy professional's life, living Rich Dad, Poor Dad, sacrifice, investing, and ultimately leaving the rat race. That's what this book is. I'd love to see it sold with Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That'd be pretty cool, huh? But in the end, this book's going to hold the test of time because, again, it had up cycle, down cycle, had hedge funds, had lending, had mistakes. And, of course, to Tom Ferry's credit, we've even created a playlist here about the 21 lessons learned from one rental at a time. Take a look on this channel. I created a quick 2 to 5 minute video for each lesson learned just to give you a taste of what's there. Here's the deal. What I teach, what I think's best, you're a busy professional, busy life. Real estate investing is not a get rich quick story. It's a get rich for sure, but it's not get rich quick. If you're looking to me to help you get out of the rat race in a year, sorry. I want you to have a better financial future. I don't want to sell you smoke and mirrors. If you think in decades, which is right around the corner for us, let's get after it. It can absolutely do great things for you. And then here's my favorite one. I threw this in as a bonus. I said it earlier, probably at the beginning of the videos. Financial freedom is hard, but a better financial future is easy. Let's talk about getting to a better financial future. Then we can talk about financial freedom. In the end, I think 2020 is going to be awesome. To quote Tom Ferry, it's going to be bananas. So do me a favor, follow me now on Instagram, one rental at a time. You're going to get these daily quotes. You can interact with me there. I'd love to know when you like one, you don't like one. That would be awesome. So at the end, those are my favorite. Let me know what your favorite is. Leave a comment below. We put out about 100 of these already, so there's a chance I missed one that maybe you like. I do really believe that one rental at a time is a hopeful mindset. I do want you to have a better financial future. I think if you take my course, it will give you the confidence to make an offer. Don't believe me. Watch the 3 interviews from students who some had experience, some haven't. And just to listen to their stories and what that course meant. I kept it cheap. It's under $200 on purpose because I want everybody to take advantage of it. I want to recoup my costs. Obviously, I don't want it to be a losing proposition. But if you do join the course, Make sure you join the Facebook group as well. It's only for students. It's where we talk about deals. You ask questions. I interact. I look at it daily. So if you ever wanted to understand how to interact with me, joining the course gets you to the private Facebook group, which is where you're going to get interactions from me. So I hope that makes sense. Let's make sure 2020, that whole decade, is awesome. Let's have a better financial future. And of course, have a wonderful day.